My name is Tim. This is a tutorial on Allegro Music Transformer, which is software that can generate sequences, and it is written in Python. Now, Python works in a notebook, which is Colab, on a site called GitHub. You can start in any browser on a Mac or Windows and type in Allegro Music Transformer GitHub. Okay. Click on the link. It takes you here, and you'll see a black background. That's because I have my browser set to be that way. You'll probably see it white with black text. So scroll down, and there are two versions of the transformer here: original version and composer version. We're going to do the original version because I demonstrated the composer version for Los Angeles music composer, and these are both by the same author, Sigalov. So just do original version. Here we are at the interface, and I just want to show you some of the basic things for getting around this. Over here, shows and hides the file menu. So once we've loaded some files or it has generated sequences, they'll show up here, and you download them to your computer from this window. So we'll keep that closed for now, but it's that file icon over there that does that. At the end of a session, I click on Runtime and select Disconnect and Delete Runtime. So that's what I do at the end of my session to make sure Colab knows I'm done, because you get a limited amount of free time on Colab. First thing to do is load the cells to get the program started. And I have the text set rather large here so you can see what I'm doing with this giant pointer. And so first thing is this little arrow with the circle on it, the play arrow here, is going to run the cell, and you have to run these in sequence. Now there are these other little arrows here. What they do is expand the code, and also clicking on it again takes that back. The code needs to be visible only for programmers that want to see the lines of code. I don't ever use it, but sometimes I accidentally click on those, and the way to get rid of them is just to go back up and click on it again. So first we have to run this cell, and it's going to give you this pop-up. If you have a pop-up blocker, you might have to suspend it for this GitHub site for this to work. So you say run anyway, and then it gives you that thing very quickly. Now this is the longest cell to load, this next one. Install dependencies, click on that. And this takes about a full minute to load. Okay, this is all loaded now, and you can see up here you get the check mark after it's done. So we're going down to the next cell and import modules, and it's going to be it takes just 6 seconds. Next cell, load model. There are two different models. There is the tiny model, which is very fast, and there is the small model, which is the best, and it's still pretty fast. I always use the small model because it's gotten really fast now. So to load this, I have to click on that, and it's going to load right down here, and it doesn't take that long. And that's going to be all the cells for the setup. So the next portion of the program, we select what we want to do. And I'm going to show you how to do 3 things in this, which I use for making pieces, especially the first 2. But I like working from original seeds. Original seeds are seeds or intros that are generated by Allegro Music Transformer. So you know you're not, just using someone else's music. Although you can use seeds that are from classical music or pop music if you can find MIDIs and prepare them so they are in the right format to work in this interface. I'm going to do the standard improv generator to improvise the seeds. And first, let's select our size. And I do about 600, doesn't have to be exact. Select the instrument for the first note. I'm going to do piano. And number of batches to generate. I do 16 at a time, which takes just over 2 minutes to generate 16. Here, to save time, because I'm just demonstrating this, I'm just going to do 2. So the temperature, I use 0.9. You can use 1. So render MIDI to audio, I don't use that anymore. I just audition everything outside of this interface because it's quicker for me. For now, we want that on because the first time you use it, you want to see what's happening and not have to have anything set up on your computer to play MIDI files. Okay, so we're ready to generate it, and we're just going to generate 2 instead of 16, so it'll be quicker. And here we are generating them. It's 603 tokens long, the sequence I'm going to generate. And also, these will appear over here to download, because eventually you're going to want to download these sequences. And what I do is, after I audition them, I may generate like 50 sequences and only pick 1 or 2 that I want to try turning into pieces. Continue them on into pieces. So here they are. There should be 0 and 1, so there are 2. So you can play them by the play arrow. Now this is the play arrow for the music. It doesn't have a circle around it. That's you're just going to generate more files if you accidentally click on that, which I've done probably a dozen times. That's not bad. So if I want to save that one, say, so here it is in the title, Music Transformer Composition 0. And so here you come over here, and here is the MIDI for it, Music Composition 0. So you can click on these 3 dots over here and download, or you can also just, I have my browser set up so I can just click twice on something and it downloads to my download on my computer. That's quicker for me. And like I said, I don't audition these in this interface because I find this is goofy. When you want to go between the different cells, you have to click over here on the left and then scroll. But if you want to just explore all the music within that you've generated, then you click on the right, and the right side over here, just left click, and then you can scroll up and down to get to your pieces in the interface. Here's the other one. See how this is kind of out of alignment now? So I'd have to go back here and adjust that. And basically, that's kind of why I stopped using this interface, and I just rather do it from my download queue and download everything I generate. And you pick one you like. If you have to generate 50 to find one you like, well, that's the way it is. And then I work on that seed in MIDI and I prepare it for continuation. Because the seeds, as they come out, you can continue those, but it's very rare that the whole seed is everything you want. You know, I change notes in the seed, I maybe fix the dynamics, put in some accents, whatever. So then I'm going to continue it. And here's the step to starting to continue it. You have to have saved that MIDI somewhere on your computer. And you can, we'll close this for now, but we'll load our seed MIDI. And here you do that here. I'm going to click this box, render MIDI to audio, because I want you to see that. So what that does is, now this is one where you don't have to wait for it to finish. It's just going to be choose files down here. So you're going to choose files, and this is choosing a file from my directory I have set up on my computer for my seeds. Okay, let's say I choose this seed. So I've prepared the seed. This is only 88 tokens long, not the best choice, but okay, you know how many tokens it is, and you can play it and see what it sounds like. So that's my whole seed that I'm going to continue. Usually, if I've generated a bunch of sequences that are 600, I get more than 88. Tokens are pieces of musical information. They are like the number of notes, but it's more to it than that, because the pieces of information can be the way the notes are played, you know, dynamics and stuff. So, but in general, it's number of notes, because the more tokens, the more notes you're going to get, and the longer it takes to play often too. Number of prime tokens, 88. That's going to be every note in my piece. So I'm going to pick 90, which is, if you do a little more, that's fine. Number of tokens to generate, I'm going to do the max, which is 2040. So that's going to be like over a minute of music. Now, I generate those long continuations, so I can't do 16 of these batches. I'm only going to do 3 at a time. That takes about 8 minutes to generate usually. And then I'm going to use a temperature of 0.9. And I've selected down here, include prime tokens and generated output. If you don't select that, it won't include anything from your seed in the piece, which you can do, but it hasn't worked well for me. I always include the prime tokens, even though they, you know, kind of take up space, so it's just going to be repeating what the seed is. But this, in this case, it's only 88 tokens, so I want to use that as my intro. I know that because I've prepared it. Finished, you can see up here it took 6 minutes. Going down here, you have to click on the right to scroll within the nested window where these things are. Click on the left to go to another cell. So if you wanted to do something different. So I generated 3, so it's going to be composition 0, and we'll find that over here. And you have to expand this. So composition 0 is here, MIDI. Hit the 3 dots over here and click download, or if you have your browser configured, you just click twice and it's downloading these. This is how I do it. I just download them all, whether they're good or bad. I addition them later. I don't usually do it here, but because, you know, you can do it here, and for the first time you probably want to do it here, just make sure you're clicking on this play arrow instead of the generate arrow up here, or you just be regenerating your files over again. So we'll click on that's kind of good. Okay, I got that one saved, I know. You can see when there's some colors here, that means they got some instruments in them. And they play on the piano too, as long as you're setting piano and MIDI. If I save them, I load them into my MIDI software where I fix them, and or I use them for phrases to compose my piece. Okay, so that is the continuation feature, and I do those long continuations, and that's the way I've been building my pieces lately. I think it's the most efficient. Inpainting is really a great feature I want to show you, and that works off the seed. Now, I've got that little seed there that's only 88 tokens long that I used as an intro. Where in painting, usually you want to load a new seed, so a new custom seed, into the file, and then it can be up to 3 or 4 minutes long if you want, but I find it works better between 2 and 3 minutes, or between 1 and 2 minutes. And so that inpaints the entire piece. Inpainting will just transform everything, and the measures will line up with the original also. So because it's working off that 88 token seed, we'll inpaint that quickly. So I'm going to select the instrument. I'm doing piano. If you want to work in multi-instrumental more, I'd say try Alex's latest program called Pentagram Music Transformer. It works much better for multi-instrumental pieces. So here we go for the in-painted settings. Now in painting, number of prime tokens is you don't want to use all 88 that are in your piece. If I in-painted it with 88 tokens, then it would just come out sounding exactly like my intro, because that's all 88 tokens is. So in this case, I'd probably use only 10 or 16 is usually the least I use. So it's going to use the first 16 of the seed, but it's in-painting the whole piece. Now, number of memory tokens, that's just the number of tokens in the memory. It refers to going back into the whole piece. So this goes back all the way to 2044. So I just leave that on the max for every piece I'm doing, even if it's only like 88 tokens long, then I leave it there. Number of samples per in-painted note, leave that on 1. If you use it's doing an oversampling. If you choose more, and it can triple, quadruple, 10 times as long the time just to do it, and it doesn't come out any better. Temperature, I like 0.9 or 1. 1 if you want it to sound more modern. Render MIDI to audio, we'll click that here, and we'll in-paint the piece. And with 88 tokens, it shouldn't take all that long. Normally, like I said, you'd be in-painting an entire piece, not just the intro that I have in the custom. So you'd have to load your seed into the custom MIDI thing there. With an Inpaint, it's called a transformer composition and only does one at a time. It's going to show up over here, and it's going to show up as composition. Might take a little while for it to pop in here. It's not this one, because this one it says 0. So we're looking for one without a number on it. There it is. So it finally popped in. And so you click the hamburger to download it, or, click twice if you've got your browser set up to download files. So that's in-painting. It can do a whole piece. Sometimes I'll do long continuations. I'll have finished composing my piece, and I just think it needs a little more, so I'll in-paint the whole thing to see if it make some exciting measures out of it, But I've done a lot of pieces where I'm not using in-painted at all, and I've done several pieces where I used only the in-paint feature. The in-paints are never as good as the original, but the point of it is to get some measures out that you can use that are good, that are just good music. So you'll find some phrases in it that you can cut out and paste into a piece to make a composition. If you get disconnected up here, like say you were to become disconnected, I'm just going to disconnect myself here by doing that. It says yes, you want to disconnect. Then you could try, sometimes it disconnects you without you wanting it to, but I haven't had that happen in a couple weeks actually. So, but you'd have to press reconnect and see if you can get your files back. See if I can get my files back. I probably won't be able to even if I connect again. It did connect again, but it didn't bring my files back. So that's what happens sometimes. So you want to end a session in Colab on GitHub by clicking on this runtime, and I say disconnect and delete runtime, because that disconnects you completely, and you tend to get like more time if you want to go back later in the day. Or if you just exit by exiting the page, I find that you come back and you may have to wait 24 hours because you only get like 3 hours of time on the GitHub page because it's free time. You can pay for more, but I don't need more than that for what I do. And, I'm retired and I spend hours doing this every day. Free service is enough. And I'm really glad to have it. This works so much better than the commercial programs I've tried, like Ava and half a dozen others at least. I just don't like those at all. This gives better results. So I've disconnected using the runtime, disconnect and delete runtime. So then you can exit the page and you're done.